They thought humiliating her in front of the entire school would break her forever, but they had no idea that the girl they slapped was about to rewrite every rule, expose every lie, and turn their world upside down. If you want more jaw-dropping real-life twists like this, make sure you hit subscribe. You're not going to want to miss what happens next. When the first slap cracked across her cheek, echoing through the school courtyard packed with 200 students, everyone expected Maya to collapse, cry, or run, because that was what she always did: shrink, disappear, make herself smaller so the bullies could feel bigger. But what no one knew, not even Maya herself, was that this was the day everything would break and remold, the day pain would stop being her weakness and become her weapon. Because as she stood there with her cheeks stinging and her ears ringing, she saw not just the girls who tormented her smirking inches from her face, but also the crowd who watched without blinking, without helping, without caring, and something inside her hardened, sharpened, and then ignited. But to understand how Maya reached the point of being slapped in front of 200 people, you need to know how her world had been carved by silence, especially after her father left when she was 10, leaving her alone with a mother suffocating under bills and exhaustion, forcing Maya to learn early that keeping her head down was safer than fighting back, and for years that strategy worked until Brielle, the queen of the senior class, decided Maya's quietness made her the perfect target, a blank canvas to paint cruelty onto, and so the whispers, shoves, notebook tosses, fake rumors, and cruel pranks stacked day after day like bricks around Maya's spirit, trapping her in a cage she didn't know how to break, until the morning of the charity assembly, when Brielle and her entourage cornered Maya near the main staircase and accused her, loudly and theatrically, of stealing Brielle's bracelet, which Maya hadn't even touched. But Brielle didn't care about truth, she cared about spectacle, about being watched, about being feared, and so she orchestrated the moment that would erupt into the scene everyone would soon talk about, because when Maya denied the accusation, Brielle dragged her by the wrist into the center of the courtyard, where the entire senior class was gathered for a pep rally, and with a smug, award-winning flair, she announced to the crowd that Maya was a thief, a liar, and a pathetic nobody. And before Maya could even finish saying, "I didn't," Brielle's hand flew, sharp and confident, cracking against Maya's cheek, followed by the gasps of hundreds, the giggles of a few, and the flash of phones recording everything. But instead of folding, Maya inhaled slowly, deeply, and for the first time in her life, she didn't try to make herself smaller. She straightened her spine, lifted her chin, and met Brielle's eyes with a calmness that startled everyone, including Brielle. And that was when Maya spoke words she didn't plan but felt rising like heat in her chest. "If you're done lying, I'll show everyone the truth." And the courtyard buzzed in confusion because Maya never talked back, never challenged, never questioned. But she didn't stop there. She reached into her bag, pulled out her phone, and played an audio recording she accidentally captured the week before when Brielle and her friends bragged in the girls' locker room about framing Maya for things she never did, including the missing textbook incident, the vandalized mural, and yes, even Brielle's lost bracelet, which Brielle admitted she hid in her own gym locker just to watch Maya suffer. And the moment the recording echoed through the courtyard speakers, courtesy of the student council's sound system Maya had quickly connected to, the entire crowd erupted into gasps, murmurs, and stunned silence. But Maya wasn't finished. She walked calmly to the principal's mic, lifted it, and said that she was tired of being quiet, tired of watching the school protect the popular while ignoring the bullied, tired of being punished for things she didn't do. And as she spoke, her voice didn't shake once, and the students watched with wide eyes because this wasn't the Maya they knew. This was a version reborn, a version fueled not by fear but by truth. And Brielle, suddenly pale, tried to shout that the recording was fake, doctored, manipulated, anything. But before she could finish, one of her own friends stepped forward, shaking, tears pooling, and confessed everything on the spot, saying she couldn't keep doing horrible things just because Brielle told her to. And suddenly the courtyard flipped, the power shifted, because the girl who had once been untouchable now looked small, exposed, and terrified, especially when the principal, who had witnessed the entire scene, ordered Brielle and her accomplices to follow him to the office. But the fallout didn't stop there. Within an hour, the school board was notified, parents arrived, news spread, and the videos recorded by students began flooding social media, turning the once quiet Maya into the center of a story everyone wanted to talk about. But the twist wasn't that the bullies were punished, because of course they were, suspended, stripped of leadership roles, and forced into mandatory counseling. The real twist was what happened next. Colleges reached out to Maya after seeing her speech go viral, commending her courage and leadership. News stations interviewed her about her experience with bullying and resilience. Younger students approached her to thank her for speaking up, saying they felt less alone. Even her mother, who had always looked so tired, cried with pride when she saw Maya standing tall for the first time. But the biggest twist of all came months later, during graduation, when Maya, chosen as a surprise keynote speaker, stood on stage in front of the same students who watched her get slapped and said that power doesn't come from being loud, popular, or feared. It comes from standing up for the truth even when your voice shakes, even when you stand alone. And she didn't look at Brielle when she said it, but she didn't have to, because the message cut clean and clear. But life rarely moves in straight lines, and the story didn't end at graduation. No, the real final twist came when Brielle, who had once lived for popularity, approached Maya months later at a small cafe near campus, her eyes red, her posture deflated, and apologized, truly apologized, not as a performance, not out of fear, but out of genuine remorse, confessing that her cruelty had come from insecurity, jealousy, and pressure she never admitted. And Maya, who had every right to spit anger, chose instead to forgive, not because Brielle deserved it, but because Maya deserved peace. And as they walked out of the cafe, not as friends, but as two young women who no longer carried the weight of the past, Maya realized something important. The slap that once symbolized her worst moment had actually become the spark that transformed her life. And though she would never forget the pain, she would forever cherish the strength it awakened, because her story wasn't just about surviving bullying, it was about reclaiming her voice, rewriting the narrative, and proving that even the quietest person can shake an entire world when pushed too far.